the Sanskrit first. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Bhakti Yogina Shemaya Pada Mulam Me Pavisanti Akuto Bayam. The yogis, equipped with transcendental knowledge and renunciation, and engaged in devotional service for their eternal benefit, take shelter of my lotus feet. And since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear. Haribol. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. One who actually wants to be liberated from the entanglement of this material world and go back home, back to Godhead, is actually a mystic yogi. The word explicitly used here, the words explicitly used here are yuktena bhakti yogena. Those yogi or mystics who engage in devotional service are the first class yogis. The first class yogis, as described in Bhagavad Gita, are those who are constantly thinking of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. These yogis are not without knowledge. Okay, so that's a double negative, not without knowledge. So that means that they have knowledge. These yogis are not without knowledge and renunciation. To become a bhakti yogi means to automatically attain knowledge and renunciation. That is the consequent result of bhakti yoga. In the Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, it is also confirmed that one who engages in the devotional service of Vasudeva, Krishna, has complete transcendental knowledge and renunciation. And there is no explanation for these attainments. Ahaituki, without reason, they come. Even if a person is completely illiterate, the transcendental knowledge of the scriptures is revealed unto him simply because of his engagement in devotional service. That is also stated in the Vedic literature. To anyone who has full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the spiritual master, all the import of the Vedic literature is revealed. He does not have to seek separately the yogis who engage in devotional service. I'm sorry. He does not have to seek separately. The yogis who engage in devotional service are full in knowledge and renunciation. If there is a lack of knowledge and renunciation, it is to be understood that one is not in full devotional service. The conclusion is that one cannot be sure of entrance into the spiritual realm in either the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence of the Lord or the Vaikuntha planets within the Brahman effulgence, unless he is surrendered onto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. The surrendered souls are always akuto vaya. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so everywhere we're reading, there is always the word surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord. So without this surrender, we don't really make any tangible spiritual advancement. it says the conclusion is that one cannot be sure of entrance into the spiritual realm in either the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence of the Lord or the Vaikuntha planets without that within that Brahman effulgence, unless he is surrendered onto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. The surrendered souls are called Akutobaya. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. Well, uh, this is why when a person completely surrenders to the Lord, he is not he's not in anxiety or fear or doubt. He's risen above anxiety, fear, doubt. By the promise of the Lord that his devotee or the Lord's devotee will not perish, and that the Lord is guaranteed protection if the disciple or the person is fully engaged in devotional service. All right, so there's always conditions. Every serious, let's say, person realizes there are serious conditions that they have to follow uh, if they want to make spiritual advancement. Uh, Therefore, they're called surrendered souls, and they're called akutobaya. Baya means fear, so akuta. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. All right, so uh, these are things that we learn gradually by reading the Shastra. Um, when people have doubts and they hesitate, but if your doubts are no longer there and you have full faith in Krishna and Guru, you don't hesitate. You boldly go forward in chanting, dancing, feasting, and so forth, and you don't have any worries. Therefore, it says in the beginning of this purport, one who actually wants to be liberated from the entanglement of this material world and go back to God, go back home, back to Godhead, is actually a mystic yogi. The words explicitly used here are yuktena bhakti yogena. Those yogis or mystics who engage in devotional service are the first class yogis. Okay, so that implies that there's second, third, fourth class yogis also, because uh, if you're not engaged in devotional service, but you are engaged in some kind of tapasya and things like that, then you're not a first class yogi. The first class yogis, as described in Bhagavad Gita, are those who are constantly thinking of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. These yogis are not without knowledge and renunciation. Well, therefore, there are basically two principles in Krishna consciousness. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So then you cannot be without knowledge and renunciation if you follow those 2 points. To become a bhakti yogi means to automatically attain knowledge and renunciation. Notice the word automatically. That means without even striving, you become, uh, let's say, a bhakti yogi. Okay, so why? Because simply by dint of devotional service, you automatically attain knowledge and renunciation. Most people who are not devotees work very hard to get knowledge and renunciation. However, simply by engaging in devotional service, knowledge and renunciation follow. You don't have to make a separate endeavor to achieve them. And that says, and therefore it says, that is the consequent result of bhakti yoga. In the Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, it is also confirmed that one who engages in devotional service of Vasudeva, Krishna, has complete transcendental knowledge and renunciation, and there is no explanation for these attainments. That's a very interesting statement. Ahaitiki, without reason, they come. What comes? What is the they come? They come means knowledge and renunciation. If you engage in devotional service sincerely. And therefore it says there is no explanation for these attainments. Ahaituki, without reason, they come even if a person is completely illiterate. The transcendental knowledge of the scriptures is revealed unto him simply because of his engagement in devotional service. That is also stated in the Vedic literature. Okay, now let's discuss this a little bit. The fact that even without studying scriptures, just by engaging in devotional service, one will have knowledge and renunciation. That's one of the mysterious aspects of surrender to the Lord. Almost immediately you get knowledge and renunciation. And it says, ahaitaki, without reason, they come even if a person is completely illiterate. The transcendental knowledge of the scriptures is revealed unto him simply because of his engagement in devotional service. That is also stated in the Vedic literature. To anyone who has full faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the spiritual master, all the import of the Vedic literatures is revealed. He does not have to seek separately. The yogis who engage in devotional service are full in knowledge and renunciation. If there is a lack of knowledge and renunciation, it is to be understood that one is not in full devotional service. The conclusion is that one cannot be sure of entrance into the spiritual realm in either the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence of the Lord or the Vaikuntha planets within that Brahman effulgence, unless he is surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. The surrendered souls are called Akutobhaya. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. So over and over again, we're hearing the word surrendered. And the symptoms of surrender is that one is always engaged in devotional service under the tutelage or under the direction of bona fide devotees, not without the bona fide devotees or their guidance. You have to be always under the guidance of, or we have to be always under the guidance of bona fide devotees. Then it works. If we say, well, I'll do it on my own, that will not work. You might do something, but it will not work in the end. We have to always be under the guidance of bona fide devotees. Then it becomes real that we are surrendered to the Lord. Someone could say that they're surrendered to the Lord, but if they don't have a mentor or someone who's a guide or is helping them to understand Krishna consciousness, like a spiritual master, then they're not going to be considered bona fide. Bona fide devotee is always surrendered to a bona fide spiritual master. Why? Well, because it's called parampara. We follow the instructions of genuine, let's say, devotees who are completely surrendered to the Lord. There's no vacuum. There's no what you say and what you call a hiatus. There is the parampara, and that means that the devotee is always under the let's say scrutiny of other bona fide devotees, and they're usually called spiritual masters. And in that way, one can be criticized. When I say criticized, that's the job of the spiritual master, is to point out the mistakes that we make. And with the purpose of remedial teaching. We learn from our mistakes, but it has to be someone to point to what the mistakes are. Otherwise, we can go on merrily making aparads the rest of our life without even knowing it. Aparad means sinful activities without even knowing it. Okay, so here it says the unless he is surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, the surrendered souls are called akutobaya. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. So, to get to that point, we should always be under the, let's say, tutelage of the bona fide spiritual master or masters. Someone might say, well, I only have one spiritual master. I don't accept anybody else. That's a mistake. We should accept anyone who's bona fide and take, let's say, and take refuge by hearing their lectures and asking questions and engaging in devotional service with their help. So basically, if we're a sincere devotee, we notice that we have 360 degrees of guru. We don't say, well, I only have one guru and I don't listen to anybody else. That is not good. Because, okay, let's say that guru leaves their body, or let's say that guru is far away. So does that mean that you don't listen to anyone else? Because you say, I only have one guru, I don't listen to anyone else. No, there are many bona fide devotees, and we should take shelter of them and be, let's say, submissive and hearing and surrendered. We keep running into the word surrender all the time. It's very important. Of course, you have to surrender to the right person, not to just any Tom, Dick, or Harry. As they say, there's a saying, Tom, Dick, or Harry. So, unless he is surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Okay, so the surrendered souls are called akutobaya. They are doubtless and fearless, and their entrance into the spiritual kingdom is guaranteed. Well, we should take these statements seriously. And it's much safer to be surrendered than to be not surrendered. When a person is not surrendered, they don't hear very well. spiritual knowledge. Why? Because they're puffed up and they think they know everything. But when you're actually surrendered, then you don't just theoretically know knowledge of Krishna consciousness, but you have practical realization of it because you're surrendered to bona fide gurus. And ultimately, if you're surrendered to bona fide gurus, you're surrendered to Krishna. And you won't do anything that's violation of the rules and regulations of Krishna consciousness. So, whenever there is a proposition by another person, you should ask the question, is this bona fide or is it not bona fide? I mean, there always will be a proposition. Come and join our, let's say our company. Well, you have to ask the question, is this going to help my spiritual life? Or is it going to take me away from Krishna consciousness? So if it's going to take you away from Krishna consciousness, you should say no, right? Because coming closer to Krishna is more important than making a lot of money and going farther away from Krishna. We should not be enticed by making more money. We should be very, let's say, loyal to being in the association of genuine devotees. Okay. So someone can be, let's say, here in Seattle, and they might get an offer for a job in Alabama. Well, are there any devotees in Alabama? There might be some. I don't know. I don't think we have any the temples in Alabama. Do we know? There must be devotees there, but so the devotee has to say, okay, is this going to help my Krishna consciousness, or is it going to make me separated from the devotees and therefore not in an ideal position for regulated devotional service?
Alabama has this content.
There is one in Alabama.
Birmingham,
Alabama. Okay, well, that's just one city in Alabama. Alabama is a lot bigger than that Birmingham. But that's good. I'm glad to hear that. And I won't use that word anymore.
Dakota,
What?
in North Dakota.
North Dakota, South Dakota. I'm not going to go there. It's cold there. Really cold in the wintertime. Okay. So, are there any questions? There are a lot of nice points in this verse, and let's read the verse again. The yogis, equipped with transcendental knowledge and renunciation, are engaged in devotional service for their eternal benefit. Take shelter of my lotus feet, and since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear. That's a beautiful verse. Well, how do you get transcendental knowledge and renunciation? It's by being engaged seriously in devotional service. And what happens if you do that? You have an eternal benefit. What is the eternal benefit? It's the association of devotees and Krishna. In other words, we take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord and the devotees. And since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear. Well, a lot of people are doubtful and fearful in the material world because they don't have any bona fide knowledge of who Krishna is and how to serve Krishna and please Krishna. And therefore, they have doubts. and they are fearful. But the devotee has so much faith in the Lord that he's not doubtful or fearful. He goes full-heartedly on the path of devotional service, knowing well that Krishna promises to protect him. And therefore, he has no reason to be doubtful or fearful. Uh, and if you are like that, even though in the beginning you might be poor, even though there's no temple somewhere, but if you're determined to open a temple and spread Krishna consciousness, even if it's just from a little house, it doesn't matter. Now you're safe. You're under the let's say the radar of the Lord, and the Lord will give you knowledge and renunciation, and eventually success in spreading Krishna consciousness. The yogis equipped with transcendental knowledge and renunciation and engaged in devotional service for their eternal benefit take shelter of my lotus feet, meaning Krishna's lotus feet, and since I am the Lord, they are thus eligible to enter into the kingdom of Godhead without fear. Very nice verse. Very, very nice verse. And let's see what the Sanskrit says. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena, right there is beautiful. 3 words. Jnana means with knowledge, Vairagya means renunciation, Yuktena means equipped. Bhakti Yogena, by devotional service, Yogina, the yogis, Shemaya, for eternal benefit, Pada Mulam, feet, my, Vavishanti, they take shelter of Akuto Bayam without fear. And that's a great verse to memorize. Jnana Vairagya Yuktena Bhakti Yogena Yogina Shemaya Padamula Me Bhavishanti Akuto Bayam. This Akuto Bayam is a very nice name. It means without fear. Bayam means fear. Akuta means without fear. So that's the culture of a devotee, without fear. Why? Because he knows Krishna actually exists, and Krishna is promising to protect the devotee. Therefore, the devotee is without fear or doubt. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that you can stick your head in the mouth of a lion and nothing will happen? No. If you stick your head in a lion's mouth, he'll bite you and you might bite off your head. So we don't do anything stupid, right? However, following the regulative principles, there's no regulative principles that you stick your head into the mouth of a lion. So you have to have some common sense. We don't purposefully put ourselves in dangerous situations. They may happen, but you don't seek them out, meaning dangerous situations. On the other hand, we're not afraid to preach, even in, let's say, difficult places. Just like one time, our Sanctum party was in France. We were going through this neighborhood where there were butchers. They had butcher shops. Right? And all of a sudden, one of these butchers, he grabbed me from behind, put his knife on my neck, and started telling everyone, "Take a look at this. Take a look at this." And I didn't try and fight with him because he had the knife on my neck, right? And then eventually let me go. But sometimes you're in those situations we were doing Sankirtan, and we were passing through a neighborhood where there were butchers. They had shops, and they were cutting up animals. And this one butcher, he grabs me, and holds me by and put his knife on my neck, and he was telling his friend, "Take a look at this." So I didn't do anything, and then he just let me go. But there are crazy people in this world, right? What were we doing in a neighborhood where there were butchers? Well, uh, we didn't think that they would try and kill us, right? Uh, but they are people. I mean, a butcher is a person who is always has blood on his apron and so forth, and he's engaged in cutting up dead bodies. Sometimes they also kill the bodies. Most of the time, they just buy the dead bodies, and then they cut up the body of the cow or whatever and sell it. And it's a whole science, by the way, or so-called science. You have to know how to cut the different parts of the cow and sell them. So there's steak and there's this and there's that, all different parts of the body that they're selling. That's really a horrible vocation because you're always dealing with blood and uh, and uh, you know eating meat, selling meat, uh, and delivering meat. Anyone who does any of those things, uh, you can uh, you can cut the meat, you can sell the meat, you can deliver the meat. Anything to do with the dead body of a cow is sinful, and every one of those different things causes one to get very bad karma. So stay away from the butchers.
Or is it only cow or any animal?
Oh, any animal, but mainly cows. Yeah. And in every one of these supermarkets, even like Whole Foods, there's a butcher part of that so-called uh, you know uh, so-called store. I mean, even the stores that claim to be organic, right? They also have what they call organic meat, and they're selling it, right? Yes, Avi.
Hmm. So why do they have to kill cows in particular the most?
I didn't understand. Say it again.
Why do why is why do they mostly kill cows?
Why do they, meaning the butchers,
Yeah.
mostly kill cows? Let me, uh, because I used to be a butcher, I'll give you a little bit insight into it. I was born into a family where I had to work in our supermarket, and I had to learn to be a butcher also. So that was my misfortune. But the uh, in every supermarket, uh, there's usually a meat market also, right? Even if they're organic, and you can ask the question. Okay, you go to, let's say, these organic supermarkets, right? And they still have cow meat, right? Organic cow meat, right? And they have a butcher department also. So that enough, that alone is enough to not go to that type of a store because you're going to a store where they're butchering animals, and especially cows. even though it's organic. So that word organic, uh, there are people, let's say you want to buy something and you always ask, is it organic? Say, that's a big, let's say hoax. Uh, uh, Organic meat is not better than non-organic meat. It's still meat, right? It's still an animal that's been slaughtered, and oftentimes it's a cow. So just because something is organic doesn't mean that it's good. But by the way, everything is organic, right? Whether a tomato is naturally grows uh, or it grows in the under lights, in the uh, a controlled environment or whatever, and they say it's organically grown. What does that mean exactly? It's organically grown. Well, they don't use any artificial fertilizers and things like that. But the organic tomato looks the same as a regular tomato, right? So is it better to eat an organic tomato rather than a regular tomato? Not necessarily. Uh, this whole idea of organic, it's and many times it is not what we think it is, because any type of natural food can be contaminated by the handling of it, right? Yes, I mean,
Um,
you only eat organic, is that?
my dad buys organic milk, so is that bad or like?
Yeah, it's bad. That means he's not drinking our milk. Therefore, it is bad because it might be organic milk, but it's not ahimsa organic milk. Our milk is ahimsa organic milk, which means that we will never kill the cow or the bull, right? But the commercial so-called organic milk, they kill the bulls. So therefore, they can say it's organic, but it's not ahimsa. So we have to have ahimsa organic milk. We have to have the guarantee that they're not killing the cows or the bulls. Now, someone can say, well, look, we kill the bulls, but we don't kill the cows. No, they kill the cows also, believe me. Uh, and even if they didn't kill the cows, but they killed the bulls, that's also makes the whole enterprise, uh, basically sinful. Um, so we have to be very careful about organic food. There's been a big, like selling strategy to say it's organic, right? Yes.
Actually, there's that
By the way, all foods, natural foods, are organic, right? Go ahead.
when you said they kill the cows. The one video, the veg festival, they put that table up. You could watch the videos, and then yeah, and that thing. So um, I just tried. So I watched one, and it showed how they forcefully take the cow's milk, and then when the cow can't give any more milk, they kill it.
They showed you that in the video, where it's not in the not our programs. No,
In Veg Fest.
which veg fest?
And then
Our
they,
veg.
and then,
Our veg.
then they
But
give
it's one of the vendors.
they,
Was a vendor?
I
And
think,
then
I
they were
think
giving some money to kids to watch.
$1.
$1.
$2. $2.
I think that is I know what he's talking about. That is basically to spread the awareness of the cruelty which is happening in the animal farm.
Cruelty.
Yeah, cruelty. Sorry, cruelty which is happening in animal farm industry.
Oh yeah, we must have had a vendor like that.
Right. And to Abhi's original question, I think that's a very good question. Why the cows are being killed?
Why
I think, in my opinion, the cows are easy target because they are very sadhu, soft animals, which are big in size, and you get the milk. After milk, you also get the meat. Okay, and they are not like wild animals. So I think industry figured out, oh, these are the animals, okay, which we can benefit most of. Okay. So they are like easy target.
Not benefit, exploit.
Exploit, easy target, I would say. But unfortunately, even though the whole society is dependent heavily on cows, the dogs have more respect, higher respect than the dogs. Sorry, than cows. I mean, the society in general.
Yeah, but see, they should turn it around. They should say, dog is my food and cow is my pet. No, now question. Now question. Why would you not accept it? Because dogs are carnivores and cows are herbivores. So basically, people know that eating a carnivore animal is not clean. That's why they want to eat herbivore animals like cows.
Carnivores are contaminated
Yeah,
because they're eating all kinds of meat.
yeah.
You don't want to eat.
Now you look at a chicken.
Hmm.
If you leave a chicken, out in the fields, right? It's going to eat all kinds of bugs and worms and all kinds of things like that, And then you say, well, it's free range chicken, that means they're open to
Eat whatever.
whatever they want in a field, and they eat bugs, they eat worms, they eat all kinds of. They can sometimes even eat the dead things, So just because it's free range doesn't mean it's pure, right? Because a chicken is an omnivore. It's not a herbivore. It'll eat anything. So you have to be careful
That's
about.
why it's a broiler chicken, where they put the chicken in the cage and they only feed grains.
Yeah, it's really horrible the way they treat those chickens. And they're really bad. Really bad. Yeah. Yes, Abhi.
Maharaj, why do they consider? Why do they consider? Why is it so? Why are they considering dogs not clean if they are eating the meat themselves? Then that means they are unclean, right?
No, well, they
Carnivores.
don't want to eat dogs because they're carnivores.
Yeah, but they're also carnivores.
And humans also
Humans
who
by
eat
eating
meat, they
meat.
are also carnivores now that they are eating meat, so they are also contaminated.
Yeah, but they're not eating contaminated things.
That is
Yeah,
the
no,
point.
basically
That's
he's using the argument. He's basically using the argument saying that, hey, you're not eating dogs because they're contaminated.
Yeah.
But you yourself
Are
are
eating.
eating meat,
Well,
Well, they think they're less contaminated by eating herbivores. Yeah, there's a lot of nonsense that goes on in life.
Like say tigers eat deer.
Yeah,
Deers are herbivores, tigers are carnivores.
yeah.
So how can they consider themselves clean, more clean, when the carnivores are also eating the herbivores?
Well, that's why we don't eat any meat. Right? Then we have to worry about whether it's carnivore or herbivore. You see? No meat, no gambling, no this, no that. That's Krishna consciousness.
So there is a question online.
Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Maharaj, I have actually two separate questions. First is that we shop from places like Costco, and Costco has so much meat. They sell meat as well, and so does it mean that because we offer it gets sanctified and it's all right? It makes it all right. That's the first question.
Well, theoretically, no, that's a good question. Why should we go to a place that's selling meat? Even though we don't buy the meat, right? But we're going to a place where they're selling meat. And that means that they're, killing animals. And so it's not actually a clean environment. Someone would say, well, we don't eat the meat, we just buy the cereals and buy this and buy that. But they have a meat department. Usually the meat department is usually pretty big even in the organic so-called supermarkets. So that's why it's better to grow your own food. That way, Hare Krishna, that way uh, the environment in which it was grown. Yes.
So there's, I think, more questions.
There's another question. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
sorry, this is a totally different question. And in Mahabharat, they say that what I've read, like that Satyavati, right? She comes from a fish hunting community. What do you call Koli? Koli tribe. So their basic occupation was to catch fish and sell fish. So is that something which was is that right? Is that I mean,
Well, if you go to Bengal, they call fish the
Jalapushp.
huh?
Jalapushp.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah, that's
flower of the
flower of the water. Yeah.
Consider it,
What?
they consider fish as vegetarian.
Yes. Well, that's called speculation. And
I
what
have
can you people develop different bad habits? Yes, go ahead.
There's one more question. Go ahead, Namaki.
uh, yeah, Maharaj. Some people say we are eating meat, but we are good than people not eating meat. We are kind. We are enough good human beings. They will say. So how can we take that, Maharaj?
Well, then you know that person's a speculator. Why? That person is not shastric. They have to be shastric. You know,
Mhm.
they can say anything they want, but if it's not shastric, they're nonsense. So where does it say in the shastras that you can be considered a devotee even though you're eating meat? It would not be shastric. You're
Okay.
not following all the rules and regulations. Yes.
Yeah, and they say they claim they're nice to other fellow beings, probably, but then they're killing animals. How can that be not cruelty?
Okay.
Well, yeah. Go ahead. Say what you want.
You wanted to add something, Mataji?
That's all, Prabhu. Yeah. I just wanted to understand how to take that, how to talk to them. Understood. Yeah.
Well, okay. You want to know how to talk to a meat eater? Is that what you're saying?
The people who claim to be good, the so-called good,
Yeah.
while they're eating meat, and they're saying that okay, there are other people that may not eat meat, but
They're not nice to
they're not nice to me. Yeah. So I mean, there's two aspects.
Well, again, you have to be shastric. You follow the shastras. So yeah, they might be a nice person in a sense. They don't kill anybody. They don't lie. They don't cheat. But they're eating meat. So, but that's one of the things that is considered sinful. Meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, intoxication. So you can't say that they're actually good people. they might be acting like they're good people, but they have bad habits.
In nature also, the herbivores typically soft.
The what?
They're not aggressive. In the nature, the birds and the animals,
Yeah.
the herbivores tend to be
Herbivores.
Yeah, herbivores.
You're not pronouncing it correctly.
Herbivores.
Yeah.
Herbivores.
Yeah.
Herbivores, we don't see examples of aggressive animals.
Amongst the herbivores? You know there are plants that eat meat.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes, I heard.
Yeah, they trap the insect or
Trap.
whatever, and they digest it. So there are what you would call non meat eating animals. Meat eating plants. Everything is in nature, you know, all kinds of things. So, but someone said, well, it's a plant. Yeah, it's a plant, but it's killing insects and flies and all kinds of things and eating them or digesting them. So we have to be very careful, you know. Everything that shines is not gold. So in the same way, all foods are not recommended. Like for example, let's say you do go to a supermarket, right? And as you're walking past the meat, uh, let's say part of the store, now they are, and you can see, you know, in their displays the meat, uh, and the men or the women, whoever are the butchers, they're handling the meat. So now, theoretically, not theoretically, but practically speaking, you shouldn't go to a store like that because you're supporting them, and part of that, you know, your dollars are going to supporting the meat condition, the meat part of that company also. So uh, now you might say, well, what do I have? What to do? I mean, are there any stores where they don't sell meat? Yeah, there are. There are. But the far and wide, there are very few stores like that that refuse to sell meat because you make a lot of money selling meat. Right?
They're more meat eaters than
Yeah. There was this one devotee, he started a business where he was selling only Krishna's conscious you know foods, you know, not non no flesh food. But he wasn't doing well financially.
Mhm.
So he added chicken to his repertoire or his list of things of selling, just so he could make more money. Then eventually he started selling all kinds of meat also, just because he could make more money. So it's better you don't even start a business like that, you know, because whenever you're selling food, uh, a lot of foods are contaminated. Okay, so the question, well, what do we do? Well, you can grow your own food. Now, let's talk about that for a minute. Someone will say, well, that means I'll have to starve in the wintertime. No. If you learn how to sprout, sprouts, by the way, are the most healthiest foods. Why? Because a seed has everything necessary to grow a plant. And the first, let's say, 5 to 10 days of a sprouting seed, that's when the most nutritious time for uh, that food. I mean, the sprouts are the most let's say, intense or intense
Nutrients.
nutrients.
Nutrient dense.
Yeah. So if you eat only sprouts, first of all, if you buy organic seeds and then you sprout them, first of all, it's not expensive at all. Sprouts are not expensive. Seeds are not expensive. And then you sprout them yourself. And now you eat only sprouts. You don't eat, you don't have to buy any food. And the sprouts are the most nutritious food. You can also get organic sprouts, organic seeds. And seeds are pretty cheap. And then if you sprout them and eat only the sprouts, now you're eating the best food. It's cheap and it's the most nutritious food, especially a sprout that's only 5 days old or up to 10 days old. It has maximum nutrition. So if you want to be very, very healthy, just eat sprouts, right? And you can also, make sprout milk. You can make a lot of things with sprouts, right? And it's like a whole science. You can look up the nutritional value of a sprout as compared to a fully grown vegetable. And you'll see, I think, that the sprout has much more nutritional value than a fully grown vegetable. So there are people that they only eat sprouts, and they only eat the sprouts that they grow themselves. And if you get good at sprouting, you're not bereft of tasty food. It just takes a little bit of knowledge, and you can make so many nice things. They have cookbooks, sprouts, cooking sprouts, or a cookbook of all kinds of recipes, how to grow sprouts and make them delicious. And that's the most nutritious food is the sprout, because it has to grow. So in order to grow, it has to have all the different things that help it to grow. So therefore, it's much more nutritious than a fully grown vegetable.
Since the sprouts are nutrient dense and can offer intense health benefits in smaller amounts, fully grown vegetables offer a more balanced nutrient profile, including fiber, and are generally safer for raw consumption, they say.
Fully grown?
Fully grown don't have as much of intense nutrients, but they have fiber content, more fiber content.
Okay.
That's
Anyway, if a person who eats only sprouts, when it depends on what level or how many days the sprout is growing, you can eat, like for example, you can sprout a bean, right? So there's plenty of fiber in the bean.
yeah, and it also says that particularly the broccoli sprouts are especially high in a particular type of what is it, glucosinates and some other compounds linked with cancer prevention, and also provide more vitamin C and vitamin B than the mature broccoli.
Let's also say sprouts are best for boosting vitamin C and antioxidant intake.
Antioxidants. Antioxidants. Yeah.
Antioxidant intake with high bioavailability of minerals.
Yeah, sprout is one of the most nutrient-rich foods.
Full-grown plants are excellent for fiber, certain phytonutrients, and sustain
That
energy.
means plant nutrients. Yeah.
Complex carbohydrates.
Yeah. If you eat a sprout that's like 5 days old, or maximum 10 days old, that's the most nutrient-rich food that you can eat. And you can sprout anything. Yeah. You can like people like to eat the red beans. And red beans sprouted are really delicious. By the way, the most delicious thing is a sprouted peanut. Oh yeah. And as it grows, it looks like a tree.
Oh,
After about,
peanut.
yeah, you can sprout a peanut as long as it's not been cooked previously. You get natural peanuts, and it's the most nutritious food. Once you look it up, the food benefits of eating
Protein.
I think there's also another
sprouted peanuts.
question online. Go ahead. Sorry, Samveda Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Haribo.
Maharaj, you were mentioning about the 360 degrees of Guru,
Yes.
right? Identifying your Guru Maharaj, and how do you identify the other creatures where you can, what do we look for? Do we look for the frequency match, or do you look for their sincerity? Can you give some light on that, please?
Well, you don't look, you hear.
Right, Maharaj. I mean, yeah. What do we hear from?
Well, if you hear a person is only speaking from Shastra, that person is bona fide. And Shastra means Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So even though they might not have the badge of being a guru, still a person who only speaks from Shastra and bona fide Shastras like Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, they're a bona fide teacher. They're qualified to become a guru as long as they're following all the regulative principles and speaking only from bona fide Shastra. So let's say there is a woman and she's not a guru, but she's only, whenever she gives a class, she's only speaking from Shastra. And in her personal life, she's following all the regulative principles. Well, she's on the level of a guru. Even though she might not have the, let's say, the stamp of approval to be a guru, but she is a guru because we don't go by rubber stamping. We go by qualification, right? So if there's a woman and is fully qualified to preach Krishna consciousness, she's bona fide, and she can become a guru because she's shastric and lives also, following all the regulative principles. So you can hear from that person.
Maharaj, there are also devotees or women who are like fully dedicated their lives to the movement, and they are doing a lot of devotional service most of the time.
Yeah.
But they don't come and give classes, or they don't speak Shastra, but they are completely immersed in doing devotional service. Can they be considered as gurus?
Yeah, because they're inspiring people to become devotees by their association, and they're educating people to become devotees also. Just like Mataji.
Yeah, that's what.
She's a good preacher.
When she doesn't give a class, or she's not speaking on.
Yes, she does. She does give class when she's cooking.
Yes,
She'll be talking about Krishna,
yes, yes.
and she'll be making things for the pleasure of Krishna.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So she is a guru. The guru is not a rubber stamp thing. It is qualification. If you meet the qualifications, that means you're bona fide. So she doesn't have any bad habits, and she is basically always feeding Krishna and thinking about Krishna, cooking for Krishna, and so forth. So she has, a close relationship with Krishna every day. So she is a guru. Her example, and also when she speaks, she'll mostly speak about, devotional service.
Yes.
So, yeah, you can accept her as a guru. Haribo. Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, Prabhu Hare Krishna. Maharaj, just quickly back on the sprouts thing. If we have a smaller place, does it grow under the, like, if we have to grow a few this thing, we can do it under the plant growth light? Will it grow, or does it need a particular environment, or?
No, you can grow it in your kitchen on a table as long as there's some sunlight that comes in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it need sunlight, or can it be just based on plant light?
Well, it's better that there's some sunlight, but yeah, it'll grow even without the sunlight. But it's even better if there's sunlight.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Yeah. Sprouts are the most nutritious foods, and they're the cheapest. If you buy a seed, it's very cheap. And when you sprout it at home, now you're in control of the water, you're in control of the environment. Therefore, it's the best food.
Yeah, here it says tips for success: use clean water. Air circulation is key. So you have to have some air circulation. Sanitize the equipment. So, like, select your seeds, soak your seeds, drain and rinse regularly, harvest.
Yeah, you have to put the seeds in water for them to sprout. And then you can change the water every day.
Actually, according to this one, Maharaj, the sprouts will come in a cool, dark place. Interesting. According to this,
No, what you do is, okay, you get a clean cotton cloth. You wet it.
Yeah.
You also wet the sprouts. Ideally, would be to wet the sprouts for 1 day or 2 days. Then you spread them in this cloth. You fold the cloth and put it in a dark place. And 3 days or 5 days later, you open up the cloth and they're fully grown sprouts.
Yeah.
They don't need the sun.
Yeah.
If you want to have a plant, in other words, you want the sprout to grow and have leaves and things like that, then it needs sun. But if you just want to sprout it and to get, let's say, 3-inch or 6-inch or 8-inch sprout, it'll sprout in a cloth, just a clean cotton cloth that's wet. And you put the seed. First of all, you leave the seeds in water for 1 or 2 days, and then you spread them on a clean cotton cloth, and then you wrap the cloth, and you can put it in a dark place and leave it alone. And 3 days or 5 days, you're not fully grown, but you have baby sprouts, and then you can transfer those sprouts to a bowl, a big bowl, and then every day you wet the sprouts and wash them,
Yes.
and then they'll just keep growing bigger and bigger.
And then you can put them in the fridge for about a week.
Sure.
They'll stay
Yeah,
nutrient.
they don't grow that fast.
Yeah, and they kind of stagnate the growth, but
Yeah.
the nutrients will still stay for.
Yeah. By the way, if you ever sprout a peanut, it looks like a tree, and it's very delicious. Peanuts are very
We'll try
powerful.
now. We'll try this winter.
Yeah.
We'll have more sprouted stuff.
And what you do is, you don't even have to take the, you don't have to break the outside covering of the peanut. You can just put it in water,
yeah.
the whole peanut, and then eventually the outside covering will get so
It will automatically
so much
peel
water in it that you can it just easily
Peels
falls off. You know. The sprouting peanuts are very powerful food. And if you sprout peanuts, they end up looking like a tree. You know, there'll be a root part of it, and there'll be a green part of it, like it will look like a tree, and you can eat it. Very nutritious, very delicious, actually. Sprouted peanuts are much tastier, much more tasty than non-sprouted peanuts.
Yeah, and also they're easier on digestion.
Yes.
Only raw peanuts don't have vitamin C, but sprouted peanuts also offer vitamin C.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Iron, magnesium, zinc.
Peanut is one of the best things to eat, and very, very good. And you can sprout them. And they're cheap. And they're very cheap. You can go to a feed store where they sell raw peanuts with the covering of it, right? Because they sell these 50 pounds of them because they're used for feeding to horses and other animals. You can buy those peanuts very cheap, take them home, and you can start sprouting them, and you'll be the healthiest person in the world because those peanuts have not been they're completely raw.
Yeah.
They still have the covering.
Oh.
Yeah.
Most of the Indian typically they have peanuts as part of their cooking. We use peanuts.
Yeah, but those peanuts they're not raw peanuts.
They're not. No, we do have raw peanuts.
No, I mean they're not in the cover. They
peel the skin.
Yeah, it's already peeled.
We do have both types, but yeah, we'll try one. Haribo. Okay, we'll end the session.
Thank you very much.
Today is Diwali, so there is a
happy Diwali to everyone. Hare Krishna.
And there is a
Diwali Utsav ki jai.
Yeah, there's also an event at the temple today.
What time?
In the evening.
Okay, good.
Okay, we'll see you everybody. Happy Diwali. Hare Krishna.